Have you ever stopped and asked yourself, why do I think the way I think? It's a powerful question and most people never ask it. We move through life assuming our thoughts, beliefs and values are truly ours, but are they? Who programmed your mind in the first place? And if you didn't write the code, how much of your default thinking is keeping you stuck right where you are? Let's start there, with the uncomfortable truth that your mind was programmed long before you ever had a choice. When you were born, your mind was a blank canvas, pure potential. But from the moment you opened your eyes, the world began to write on that canvas. Your parents, teachers, friends, culture, religion, media, they all contributed to your mental programming. Think about it. You didn't choose the language you speak, the accent you have, the beliefs you were taught as a child. Those were given to you. You didn't decide which news channels your parents watched, which values your school emphasised, or which fears your community passed down. Yet all those inputs became part of your subconscious wiring. The human brain is designed to learn quickly in the early years. Between birth and age 7, your brain operates mainly in theta brainwaves and then alpha. And that's a state similar to hypnosis. That means that during childhood, your subconscious mind absorbs everything around you without much critical thinking. You're basically walking around with your subconscious wide open, taking in commands, stories, and emotional imprints that shape who you become. If you were told money doesn't grow on trees, you may grow up associating success with scarcity. If you heard people like us don't get ahead, you may still be fighting an invisible ceiling. If you saw fear, anger, or resentment modelled daily, that emotional pattern likely became part of your default state. So yes, you were programmed. We all were. And the question is, who's running the show now? Here's the catch. The people who programmed you weren't evil. They were mostly doing the best with what they knew. Their beliefs came from their programming, which came from their parents, and so on, down through the generations. But once you're an adult, the programming doesn't stop. In fact, modern life adds a whole new layer of influence, one that's far more subtle and powerful than before. Every day you are exposed to thousands of messages designed to shape your thinking. Algorithms decide what you see. News outlets decide which stories matter. Marketing teams spend billions to make you feel inadequate, so you'll buy their solution. Even entertainment trains your emotions: fear, outrage, envy, desire. And here's the irony. The people who think they can't be fooled are usually the easiest to manipulate. Why? Because when you assume that you're immune, you stop being aware. You stop questioning, you let your guard down. Meanwhile, the systems shaping your perception, government narratives, corporate thinking, social media echo chambers, continue to influence you in ways that you barely notice. So, the world around you. Let's talk about that, because understanding it is key to taking your power back. Governments, corporations, media all have one thing in common. They need your attention and compliance. Whether to maintain order, make profit, or drive an agenda, the easiest way to do it isn't by physical force, it's by mental conditioning. Control the narrative, and you control the population. Now, that doesn't mean that every government is evil or every corporation is corrupt, but it does mean that systems evolve naturally to protect themselves. When fear, division, or distraction serve that purpose, those emotions are amplified. And humans are highly influenced through emotion. If you keep people fearful, you can make them compliant. If you keep them distracted, they stop questioning. If you keep them divided, they'll never unite against the source of the manipulation. That's why taking control of your mind is not just about personal success. It's about mental sovereignty. It's about reclaiming the freedom to think, to feel, and to decide for yourself. When you start to realize just how much external influence there is, how many forces are constantly shaping your thoughts, emotions, and choices, it's very easy to feel helpless. You might think, what's the point? The system is too big. The world is too chaotic. I can't fight it. But that's the trick. The illusion of helplessness is part of the programming. When we think we're powerless, we stop trying. And the less we try, the more the system wins. The truth is, you are far from powerless. You may not control the external world, but you have absolute control over your internal one. You can't change every law, economy, or media message, but you can decide what those things mean to you, how you respond, and what energy you live from. Success, real success, starts in the mind. It's not about escaping the chaos, but learning to stay centered and creative within it. So how do you take back control? How do you begin to reprogram your mind, consciously this time, for success, resilience, and freedom? Awareness is step one. You can't change what you don't see. Begin to notice your thoughts. Ask yourself, where did this belief come from? Is this thought helping me or limiting me? Whose voice is this, mine or somebody else's? And you'll begin to realize how many of your daily thoughts are simply old loops playing in the background. Then you audit your inputs. If your mind is like software, your environment is the code that's being uploaded. Everything you read, watch, and listen to programs your subconscious. So start to curate your inputs intentionally. Limit exposure to fear-based news. Unfollow accounts that drain your energy or spark comparison. Surround yourself, online and offline, with people who think expansively. Remember, you become what you consume, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. Reprogramming your mind requires reframing your perspective. Every challenge can be viewed as a test, a teacher, or a trap. Choose the first two. Instead of saying, I'm overwhelmed, say, I'm being stretched to grow. Instead of, I failed, say, I just found a way that didn't work yet. Language is powerful. It doesn't just describe reality, it creates it. Repetition is programming. Your subconscious mind learns through repetition and emotion. That's how you were programmed in the first place, and that's how you'll rewrite the code. Use affirmations, visualizations, and daily mental rehearsal. See yourself already succeeding, not as fantasy, but as mental conditioning. When you visualize with emotion, your brain begins to believe it's real, wiring new neural pathways to match that vision. You begin to teach your nervous system what success feels like. Success isn't just about thoughts, it's about state. When you live in constant stress, fear, or anger, your brain shuts down creative thinking. You become reactive and not proactive. Train yourself to return to calm, centered awareness, even in chaos. Meditation, breath work, exercise, time in nature, these aren't luxuries. They're mental survival tools. They regulate your nervous system so you can make powerful decisions and not emotional ones. And this is where real transformation happens. You don't get what you want, you get what you believe you are. If you see yourself as a struggling person trying to get ahead, you'll keep struggling. If you see yourself as a creator, a leader, a problem solver, your brain will start scanning for ways that align with that identity. Ask yourself daily, who am I becoming? and align your actions with the future version of you, even before it feels real. The world right now is unpredictable. Economies shift, technologies disrupt, governments overreach, and media manipulates. It's very easy to feel like the ground is always moving beneath you. But here's a truth that history proves over and over. Turbulent times create extraordinary people. When the world gets noisy, those who learn to think independently rise above it. When others panic, the calm and focused create opportunity. The self-aware are proactive. Reprogramming your mind for success in such a world as this isn't about denial. It's about discipline of thought. You wake up each morning and decide, what will I focus on today? What energy will I carry into the world? What future will I create through my thoughts and actions? And this level of ownership transforms your entire life. You stop waiting for the system to fix things, and you start becoming your own system of change. True success isn't just wealth or status, it's freedom of mind. When you choose your thoughts, emotions, and reactions, no matter what's happening externally, you've reached a level of mastery that few ever experience. That doesn't mean you ignore reality. It means you respond to it consciously. The person who has reprogrammed their mind for success doesn't get lost in fear or outrage. They recognize manipulation for what it is. Noise, just noise. And they take their focus and look towards creation, contribution, and growth. They ask, what can I build today? What can I learn? How can I rise above the storm? And by doing that, they become unshakable. If you want to start right now, here's a framework you can use daily. It's called the 3R formula. Recognize, release, reprogram. Notice any negative, fearful, or self-limiting thoughts that arise. Don't judge them, just observe. Awareness breaks the loop. Release. Take a deep breath and say consciously, this thought no longer serves me, and let it go emotionally and physically. Reprogram. Replace it with a new empowering belief. Speak it out loud if you can. For example, I am capable. I create opportunities. I am safe and focused, even in chaos. Repeat this process many times a day. It seems small, but repetition and focus rewires the neural pathways in your brain. We've been taught that success means money, fame, and external validation, but real success is internal. It's peace, it's clarity, it's purpose. And no matter what happens outside you, nobody can take those from you. When your mind is programmed for success, you don't chase validation. You begin to create value. You don't react to fear. You start to create your future. You don't follow noise. You follow your intuition. You become a creator and not a consumer, a thinker, not a follower. You think freely. You live consciously. And you succeed on your own terms. The future belongs to those who master their minds. In a world of manipulation, distraction, chaos, awareness is power. You can't always control the system, but you can control yourself. And that's where all change begins. So take back your mind, question everything, curate your inputs, feed your spirit with truth, beauty, and growth. Every time you choose awareness over fear, clarity over confusion, and creation over consumption, you reprogram your brain, and by extension, you change the world around you. Because when enough individuals wake up and rewire their minds, the collective consciousness shifts. And that's how revolutions, real revolutions, begin, not through protest or violence, but through awakening. The mind that is free cannot be controlled. The heart that is empowered cannot be manipulated. And the human being who understands their own programming becomes unstoppable. So start today, reprogram your mind. You don't have to be perfect. Just be aware, be intentional, and be consistent. You've been programmed long enough by the world. Now it's time to write your own code for success, for freedom, and for the future that you choose to create. See you next time.